Greg Kelly. The latest breaking news and opinions. Entertaining and informative.
A suggestion. If you happen to be gay, don't take pride in that. Don't take any special pride in being gay. I know it's Pride Month. I say you should reject Pride Month. I do not take personally any pride in being straight. I don't think anybody... I mean, I was born that way. Why the hell would I think it's special, huh? I mean, that's how I came here. I didn't decide, it just is etched in my brain, in my whatever. I don't know exactly the biochemistry involved, but I happen to be straight. Now, if you happen to be gay, do you think that's worth celebrating? I don't think so. Just like I'm not going to celebrate being straight, all right? But it is June 1st, the first day of Gay Pride Month, and oh boy, overboard. Everybody's jumping on board, from the New York Yankees to the United States Marine Corps to Pfizer Pharmaceuticals. And maybe your boss, who knows? Everyone's jumping in. Haven't we grown up? Isn't it? Like, who really cares at this point to take pride in it? Pride. Pride is actually a bad thing. You're not supposed to take pride in this kind of stuff. You're not to pride in your accomplishments, in your contributions, in things you've developed and worked on, and maybe the accomplishments of other people, but to be so proud. Am I proud that I have brown hair? Well, actually, I am pretty proud of my hair lately. It does look pretty good, full of volume, but pride. Am I going to have a parade for my hair? No. But everyone, I think a lot of people agree with me, especially in corporate America, but they have to go along with it because, well, right up there with being accused of being a racist is being accused of being a homophobe. I'm not a homophobe. I don't even like saying the word homophobe, but by the way, I mean, I just don't like, I think it's funny. The word homosexuality has basically become not PC anymore, right? But homophobe is still out there. Anyway, look, not a homophobic. I'm just saying that I think, haven't we matured? No, we haven't matured. We're taking major steps backward. Major steps back. And it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking for me to look at the United States Marine Corps, my beloved Corps, and watch them go 1,000% full on, totally in, woke. Totally woke. And you know what? You can be woke, but you can't focus on what you're supposed to be focusing on. You got to make a choice, really, especially a big organization. When they get together and they decide to celebrate diversity, equity, and inclusion and beat it over your head. I was in the military for a brief period of time. Well, I was in for 9 years, but for a brief period of time when I first went in, it was right in the aftermath of Tailhook, a great big sexual harassment scandal, and we got so much training. It was actually very good training, but we got a lot of it. It was like, it seemed for a little while there, the entire mission of the military was to not sexually harass anybody, as opposed to defeating the enemy. There was a time when our military had very clear-cut objectives, rules, and mission, a sense of mission. You want to hear Colin Powell, the late, great Colin Powell? Yeah, he went a little silly himself later in life. But when he was chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff back in 1991 and they were kicking the Republican Guard out of Kuwait, well, this is how he talked back then, and I like it. Cut 36.
Our strategy to go after this army is very, very simple. First, we're going to cut it off, and then we're going to kill it.
All right. Cut it off and then kill it? Well, that's kind of what you want from your 4-star generals, right? Of course it is. Now what do we get? We get Mark Milley. Oh, boy. He knows all about critical race theory. He read up on it so he could spout it out in front of Kirsten Gillibrand and get all kinds of points. We got Mark Milley. First we have Colin Powell. Now we have Mark Milley. What does he sound like? Remember? This is the guy who helped lose the war, by the way. Cut 37.
I want to understand white rage, and I'm white, and I want to understand it.
Yeah, very beautiful. So why don't you quit the military and go ahead and pursue whatever your heart's desire? Maybe you can march in the Great Gay Pride Parade. Well, actually, don't. I think you should follow my advice about the gay pride stuff. As fine to be gay. It's fine to be straight, but to take pride in it, to dance around and say it was. There is a cartoon. Hey, do me a favor. See if you can get it from Saturday Night Live. It's not a cartoon. It's a sketch. And they had this character named Merv the Perv, and he was the straightest man in the universe, right? And he hit on all the ladies, and he did it in a pretty crude and almost grotesque way. And he was a joke. He was like the over-the-top straight man. And it was silly, and it was mocked, and it was actually funny to watch. That's, I think, where we are now with LGBTQIA. Told you I was going to figure out what the I and the A stands for. I don't know. Oh, Joe Biden is very, very frustrated. So his poll numbers, as you know, are terrible, and he can't fathom why he's less popular than Donald Trump right now. He is. Poll numbers have him lower at this point in his presidency than Donald Trump was at this point in his presidency, right? And he can't get his mind around that. He's like, why don't the people like me? And he's yelling at staff. And there's rumors that there could be a major, major shakeup. And even the fake news, they're starting to turn on him. They're getting aggressive. They sense, they feel, there's blood in the water. Joe might have to resign after the midterms. The shellacking will be that bad. Who knows? And he can't take the job. But imagine that. He's actually said to be, I heard this, NBC News of all places did a pretty thorough report on Biden adrift in the White House. And he can't get his head around the idea that he's less popular than Donald Trump. Well, here are a couple of reasons, pal. Number one, you lost a war. Number two, you lost the border. Inflation's out of control. You didn't fix the supply chain issue, and you call half the country racist. It's not a winning formula. All right, you're not going to command the confidence of the American people like that. His failures are so obvious, except to him, by the way, except to Joe. Oh, Joe has a New York Times op-ed on the heels of his Wall Street Journal op-ed. It's kind of, arguably, it's beneath the president to write op-eds. You know, I mean, you're the president. You can walk out to the Rose Garden and say something, and the entire world is going to respond, right? But no, when he walks out to the Rose Garden, you know, he says about 6 things wrong. It's got to be walked back, which is something else that's said to infuriate him. Why are you guys always correcting me? Well, you're always saying wrong stuff. We have to. But he's fired up about that. Now, Barack Obama did this too. He wrote an op-ed, I think, for Newsweek magazine. It's done occasionally, but one in the Wall Street Journal on Monday, a second one in the New York Times on Tuesday. That's a little weird. Now, I look back. I wanted to find out if Donald Trump had written any op-eds when he was president. I couldn't find one, but I did find an interesting one that he wrote before he was president, all the way back in 1999. And it's a great column. He says, America needs a president like me. How about that for confidence, right? And a lot of the stuff in here he would make good on, but it's interesting. Not everything. Let's see here. All right, you ready for this? Again, he wrote this, how many years? 18 years. 18 years before he would become president. He said that America could use a president like me. Let's cut to the chase. Yes, I am considering a run for president. The reason has nothing to do with vanity, as some have suggested, nor do I merely wish to block other candidates. I will only run if I am convinced I can win, a decision that I will make later this year. He didn't, of course. This is back in 1999. 2 things are certain at this point, however. I believe non-politicians represent the wave of the future. And if elected, I would make the kind of president America needs in the new millennium. I would make the kind of president America needs in the new millennium. I love it. Unlike candidates from the 2 major parties, my candidacy would not represent an exercise in career advancement. Now, that's so true. And it was said, I think, by John Voight during the 2016 convention. He said, Trump is not running for fame and fortune. He has all that. It's true. He already was famous. He already was rich. He didn't need it. Let me compare this to Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio, who one day is a city councilman in North Miami. Next day, he's assemblyman, something or other from up in Tallahassee. And then he gambles big and wins big, and he finds himself in the U.S. Senate, which really, by the way, is not such a big deal. 1 of 100 people, career politician, ambitious, hungry. Going up, someone's going to get elected to the Senate. Might as well be Marco. There he is. Marco Rubio, at the age of, how old was he anyway? 42 or something like that? Thought he could be my president. Never served in the military, never made any money in business. But just because he's ambitious, he's not a bad guy, but I'm sorry, pal, you're not. To be president of the United States, you need to have lived a lifetime of awe-inspiring achievement, in my opinion. You got to have something to offer, some world-class talent to offer. Rubio certainly didn't have that. Jeb Bush didn't have that. Who the hell else was running back then? I mean, Ted Cruz is a smart guy, but world-class talent? He might have a great brain. But, what can he do for us? What can he do for you, for me? Just be a smart guy? How about a track record? And I know people poo-poo it, but building a building, that's pretty impressive stuff. That's tangible, real-world stuff. If you want to get a bathtub installed in your house, most people get buried in the red tape. Building a new building at the corner of 57th and 5th, that's something. It really is. And he was doing it. All right, back to his little story here. Let's see. I am not a political pro trying to top off his... it's not me, it's the story. It's like bleeped out for some reason. I am considering a run only because I am convinced the major parties have lost their way. The Republicans are captives of their right wing. Interesting. Huh? The Democrats are captives of their left wing. I don't hear anyone speaking for the working men and women in the center. After New York City spent $20 million, then he talks about the Woolman Rink. Remember when he did that? And why am I considering a presidential bid? Well, first, Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura has strongly encouraged me to seek the nomination, and I highly respect Jesse as the embodiment of the political qualities America needs and voters reward. Oh, man, he's so smart. He's studying all of it. Knows the country better than anybody. Given the choice between yet another slate of stale political professionals and Jesse's common sense principles and straight talk, it was no contest. He has convinced me that we need this combination in the White House. You see, this was years in the making. He says some nice things about Pat Buchanan, but says Pat Buchanan is always making a mess of things with his mouth. Let's see. It took 3 days. Yeah, this is actually interesting. The second reason I'm considering this is because of Pat Buchanan. He has the virtue of plain speaking, but he often says stupid things. The latest example being his comments questioning whether the U.S. was right to stop Hitler. His arguments are repugnant, yet they were initially met by deafening silence from the professional politicians. It's true. They have to see which way the wind is blowing before they make up their mind. It took 3 days for Elizabeth Dole and John McCain to react. This underscores the central problem with contemporary politicians. They are so concerned with winning votes that they cannot even find it in themselves to immediately denounce a man who winks at barbarism. So, very interesting. But a couple of things going on here, Mr. President. All right. Now, some stuff you complain about, like politicians who look at the polls all the time. Sir, you started to do that yourself. Remember? All right. All that to say, I love Donald Trump. I love his style. I love his policies. I love him. I think he's a great guy. But he needs to think, and I hope he is, and I'm sure he is, but I'm not convinced. Is he thinking about governing? He's got to think about what he's going to do, how he's going to do it. We know what he wants to do, but the right people around him, not these swamp cats who tried to sabotage him. And by the way, guess what? There were people on his re-election team who did not want him re-elected. They were working against him from within.